So I'm putting myself in the shoes of a policymaker. If I'm a policymaker, what would I want to know if I'm going to be able to prevent another crisis like that in the future? So this is a diagram that I'm sure many of you have seen it, and it's basically a diagram showing the epi curve of the Wuhan situation. The purpose of me showing this slide is not really about the detail on that graph. You don't need to pay attention on the details, the day of that. I'm an economist by training, but I'm also surrounded by virologists and epidemiologists colleagues. Everybody, what we're trying to do is, how can we, during this period of time, be able to use information data to inform the policymaker in a way that actually speaks to their concern and trade-offs so that we can curb the growth. And that's a different idea than flattening the curve. Flattening the curve, eventually, you still have the spread of cases, but you're just extending it over a longer period of time. Can we ever actually curb it somewhere that it would not even continue to grow? It's a very ambitious question, but that's the question that I think most policymakers want to know, because all the later discussion on lockdown, on draconian policies that have made a lot of effect come at huge cost, great cost. So every time when you reach this stage, you have to confront difficult trade-offs. Is it possible, if we have another outbreak in the future, that we can avoid getting up on the exponential growth path of the curve? The difficulty comes because it is a new disease. It has lots of unknowns, it had lots of uncertainties. And imagine in the beginning, we didn't even know whether it is human-to-human transmission. And once it is confirmed, we still don't know how contagious it is, how deadly it is. And these data only gradually are being available. And even a few weeks ago, we're still debating whether there is asymptomatic transmission. And we're still debating about airborne. So learning, so how do you incorporate into your model these differences, which I'm sure that many epidemiological models are trying to do that. But the critical thing is, how do you take it from the model to the decision maker in a way that it addresses their concern, that they can take action sooner rather than what happened this time? And I always paraphrase it as, how do we prevent another Wuhan in the beginning? How do we prevent another New York in the future, and so on? So I thought that come to me as in the in the circle that I interact with, work with, that tends to be a lot of policymakers and people who think about strategies. A number of people have drawn a parallel of the COVID-19 virus as if we are in a war. But if we're in a fog of war, that is, in the very early stages, we're fighting this virus, but with a lot of uncertainties. And we hear people talk about testing as a way of gathering intelligence. And how much of the intelligence do we need to know to help the strategists to make decision of where the enemies are, when they might strike, and how big it might be that strike? And different people have now drawn parallel of the COVID-19 virus to war in terms of the scale, the speed, and the spread, and the potential impact that crosses border. Part of me feel, can epidemiologists and economists have a conversation with military strategists to think about how they make decisions when they face a lot of unknowns, and make our empirical work and estimation models and data collection that might be more closer to the decision maker. just a random thought. I don't know the answer.